Are you going to introduce me as Tully?
Yeah, I can.
Welcome to Curious Conversations with Tully and Sarah. We sit down and chat with business owners, entrepreneurs, and some of the best conversation starters. This is a podcast about real life lessons and people doing cool shit.
Welcome back to another episode of Curious Conversations. Tully, welcome.
Thanks. I'm the Temu Tully.
The Temu Tully.
Yeah, I'm the Tully you get on Temu.
People are probably like, I've seen that face before on Curious Conversations though. But
that was a long time ago.
Was it?
Yeah, that was ages ago, wasn't it?
Well, it's been a lifetime since then. We've bonded. We've become business partners.
I'm scared I'm not going to be close. Sarah always yells when I don't get the mics right, so I'm either going to be too loud or too far away.
Well, then look at the camera and your posture. Do you want to?
Oh, that's terrible.
So, no, you were Elisha Verocchi.
Yes, I was.
Elisha Kirkos. Welcome back to Curious Conversations.
Thank you.
But it's a very...
Why don't you tell everyone why I'm here? Because Tully's sick.
Tully's sick, Roller's sick. And do you know what? For as much as Elisha might be our business partner, she doesn't necessarily listen to the episodes.
Absolutely not.
You got a very special mention in last week's episode.
Did I?
Yeah.
On yours?
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it.
I know.
I need that pump up this week.
Do you want to know what it's about?
Yeah, tell me.
Friendship.
Oh, what did you say? Who said it? You wouldn't have.
I said, oh, that malaka. No. Tully said, I asked Tully who was the last person who, like, friendship she developed, and she said you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And so then we started talking about friendship and what allows someone to open up. And everyone's already listened to this because they listened to the previous episode.
Oh,
but it was vulnerability and things like that, and then trusting that person. Because we were saying,
we're stuck together every day. You don't really have a choice.
Well, that's exactly what Tully was saying. She's like, well, it's because I see Elisha every day. But then also I would say our values align.
Oh, 100%.
But then also in your 30s, it's harder to make friends.
Well, what does Mel Robbins say? Let them. She tells everyone to let them.
Yeah.
Let this, let that, let me. That there's like got to be X amount of things that have to align in order to make friendships as you get older. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when you're younger, you've got all these mates, especially when you're at school, you've all got the same schedules, you've got the same likes, same dislikes. You all play the same sports. So it's easier for you to be friends. And they sort of talk about, friendships at work. It's all good that you're spending time together. That time, the essence of time makes sense, as in that you're always together. But then, if you're in different phases of life, you're not going to extend that friendship outside of work. So hypothetically, if and you guys, is that why
you don't invite me over for drinks on the weekend?
I just need time alone.
No, that's an interesting. I've never worked corporate. You've worked corporate, which we'll probably dive into later. So I've never had those, dare I say, like forced relationships.
Yeah, I don't think they're forced. I think there's definitely merit to them. I think that the friendships that you have at work are awesome, and at the end of the day, they get you through your day. But I think outside of that, I mean, what interest does say someone who we talk about people saying that they have, work friends that are like in their 50s and they're in their 20s, but at the end of the day, that 45, 50-year-old's got to go home and probably look after young kids or young teenagers and drive around to sport and do all the other things while the 20-something-year-old's, off to 161. So, that's where it doesn't align over that sort of outside of work hours. It doesn't mean there's no merit to the friendship. It just means that it's just different times in life.
Mm.
So,
but then how do you build that friendship?
Well, I don't think you do. I think
have you made any friends outside of work, say in the last 10 years?
Yeah, but again, it's common interest. But how often, we talk about how there's all these stats around how many hours you need to invest in someone for it to be a legitimate friendship, and it's almost next to impossible.
Well, like how many hours?
Hundreds.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We probably should have done some research. You want to have a look on here?
We're clocking them up.
We're clocking them up. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, that it's that consistency, which you don't always have.
Me?
No, not you. People. You got plenty of friends. You got too many fucking friends.
Why do you say that? Whereas I would say I don't have many friends.
Oh, mate, the amount of names that you reel off on a day. I'm like, who's that person? Oh, yeah, that person's that person. Oh, that's that person's cousin. Oh, okay, got it, yeah.
But they're my friends, or are they people I know? That's the difference.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I'd just assume they're your friends.
Nah, I've only got 5 friends. You know
Oh,
that.
you got 5 friends?
Yeah.
You need a podcast with them.
Well, that's what I want to do.
Okay, well, hurry up. Waiting.
That speaking of podcasts. All right. So Elisha is our friend, first of all. She's our friend, but you're also our business partner because we started this.
That's right.
You were the brains behind it, I would say.
I don't know about the brains, but maybe the one willing to make a risk, make the jump.
Why? You left corporate world.
Yes,
and you have so much credibility in this field because you headed up. What was your previous role?
Well, I headed up the digital marketing and social media at Chemist Warehouse and the talent team, influencer marketing. I did that for quite a while. I think I spoke about in the previous episode what I did before that, which was Tanya and I started, a friend of mine, started our own influencer marketing agency. So that's how we got into the influencer world. But yeah, just personal circumstances leading me to step away from corporate, not because I didn't love it or love the people, love the business or anything like that, just simply because it requires a lot of time, right? When you're managing, I had 25, 27 staff at one particular point. It's a lot of work. And in order to be able to do that properly, you really need to be able to give them your time, which, if you've got your own stuff going on, it's always a little bit harder.
And something we've spoken about in the last couple of months and the last year since starting this up is the landscape's changing of it all.
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. I think, when I came on last time, I spoke more about how people are investing a lot more into the digital marketing elements of social media, if you want to call it that. I don't want to put them under, if you talk to any expert, they won't put them under the same umbrella. But, there's a lot more onus on user-generated content, or UGC as some people refer to it, and really utilising marketing budgets to target consumers specifically, as opposed to what used to happen, which probably was a bit more traditional, was that campaign where you had anywhere between 5 to 20 sometimes influencers all talking about the same product, hoping to get that same reach, engagement and conversion organically.
Where do you see the whole market going? Why do you have so much faith in what we're doing?
Not necessarily the market, but I think more about what audiences and consumers are wanting. They're wanting authenticity. I mean, that's probably the key word that we'll focus on moving forward. And I think that's what we've put our focus into when creating the vodcast or podcast that we're doing now, is that the content that we put out is authentic. It's authentic conversations. It's real life problems. It's things that people can relate to. I think people are becoming less and less attracted to watching content of maybe lifestyles that they'll never achieve, or maybe, you've got a different view on that. You think it's aspirational. I think that depending on where you're at in life, it can be quite...
So Kate Forster released an episode today on influencers,
yep.
And her daughter is Gen Z, and she had the opposite. Kate has the same view as you. Like, I don't
yep.
want to see you fucking flaunting your money and all that. And
yep.
Tansy was like, disagree. Babe, if you're getting private jet to Singapore and it's a life that it's so far from mine and I don't understand, I want to see it.
Yeah, okay.
So it's that, maybe it is different generations, I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think that, and maybe it is that generation has grown up completely different to maybe the mindset that maybe I have, or maybe you personally have, or sort of anyone over the age of 30 has. There's a huge disconnect now with people. We talk about we're talking about friendships before, but there's this whole pandemic around loneliness, right? People are craving connection, authenticity, and this is where I feel like some of that some of the original OG influencers, I don't want to say they've stuffed up, because stuffed up is not the right word or way to describe it, but if we go back to traditional, and we've had this conversation before, but if we go back to when influencers sort of first came to fruition in Australia.
14,
right?
15, like
right?
2013.
Yeah,
OG ones.
OG influencers.
Yeah.
they kind of became like these gods.
Celebrities.
Right? They're like celebs, right? And it was kind of, I don't want to say they're untouchable, but it was like, wow, if you saw one in the wild, it was like, oh my God, that's so-and-so. They became our version of celebs. And with that came, I imagine, I obviously wasn't on the receiving end of it, but I imagine that there would have been, because there wasn't as many of them, there would have been a whole lot of people trying to message them, trying to contact them, like celebrities.
Yeah.
Where it became easier to probably step back from engaging with your audience than what I think traditional influencers do today, right? We talk about some of the bigger TikTokers and Instagram stars that are sort of in their early 20s. They're very much in tune with their audience. They know who certain followers are. I mean, we had some guys in yesterday who were like, oh my God, I love that guy. He follows us. He comments on our stuff all the time. We always talk back to him, yada, yada, yada. I think back then maybe there was just too much. I don't know. What do you think?
I definitely agree that they became our new celebrities.
Yeah.
But like you've said to me numerous times recently, back then it was like 500 influencers. Now it's 500,000 influencers.
Right. So you can imagine the pressure that was on these OGs. So from an audience perspective, and that's why they've got some of these OGs, even though they might not be so much in that paid influencer marketing anymore, like they still exist, and they're still, they're still the people that everyone loves to talk about. I don't know.
Who does it well now, do you think?
From an OG perspective?
From an OG perspective, yes, but then also, say, young upcoming Gen Z influencers.
I hate when you ask me these questions about putting people's
you don't have to
out there.
You don't have to work with them anymore. So that's the
I know, but I love influencers, right? Heart of hearts, I think they're all fucking fantastic. I think that
what's a good influencer to you? That's probably a good question.
A good influencer to me is someone who is true to themselves, right? And when I say that, it's their authentic. They do a really great combination of paid content and then their own personal recommendations. I mean, that's key, right? That's showing who they are. Yes, they've still got to do paid content because at the end of the day, they've got to put food on the table, right? That's their job. So there's that. And then I think there's also bringing us into their world to the degree that they're happy with, but also being really firm and okay with stepping back when they need a minute. Right. And I think that when you've trained your audience in that regard, you've kind of got their utmost respect. People don't really care. They don't have to put up a post saying, I'm taking a break from social media for a little bit. They just go. They just go, wonder what she's up to. She must be, she's been on a holiday. Whatever it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, go on.
Who are the good people doing it well? Because I've got a lot of influencer friends.
Who do you think's doing it well? Because this is this is not an interview. It's meant to be a chat.
It's a curious conversation. Molly Cook I met the other week and I've been consuming her content.
Yep.
I don't know how much she converses. I haven't watched her YouTube. But it's kind of like these new generation have touch points in so many different platforms that they really bring their community in everywhere. And we were just talking about touch points. It's like to foster that community, you need to put yourself out there all the time. Gone are the days of putting up 2 posts a week and having phenomenal engagement. And the apps are rewarding that consistency of posting by pushing you out on the algorithms more.
I think they've all got their own really great strategies. Like I'll give you an example of of the Gen Zs that do it really well. I'm not going to give names because, to be honest, I've gone a bit blank as to who, but they all kind of follow a very similar strategy where they'll have their Instagram as Instagram has kind of always been, much more curated sort of content, fashion stuff and things like that. TikTok's a lot more fun, not necessarily. They don't all necessarily talk to camera or do anything like that. They might just get on the trend train, but a lot of them do still do YouTube. Right? So they do their weekly vlogs. And I think that the weekly vlog, in any case of any influencer, really gives a really honest insight into their lives. And when I say honest, what I'm saying is it gives a much bigger picture to who that person is. And I think that you'll find that you'll really gravitate towards certain influencers by watching their vlogs because of that authenticity that comes through, and just even the funny shit that happens. Like it's good to see beyond that, I guess, that static curated post, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You get a bit more depth into who they are as people.
Yeah.
From a brand perspective, you used to do big deals, right?
I guess so.
I guess so. What would these brands want from you, and who would they want, and why is that shifting?
Look, to be honest with you, I've been out of it too long in terms of to probably be able to answer that completely correctly. I can only go back, as far
From
as
your perception.
From my perception. I think that if I was a brand and I had $20,000 to spend on pumping a product, I would probably go with someone that not necessarily, depending on what the product is, right? I'd probably go with someone within that category that people know, maybe not everyone knows, but people know, and just get one piece of content and use the remaining to boost that content directly to the audience that I want to hit. That's what I do.
I still want to know, and I'm going to get names.
No, you're not.
Yeah. What influencers do you like?
You?
I'm not an influencer.
In terms of who does it really well, I'm so bad because I don't go on TikTok a lot.
How do you feel about people sharing their opinions?
This is where you want to go. You've been wanting to go here since I walked in the door.
So loudly.
She's been very angry since I got here.
I have not.
You have. You've been charged. You've been charged. Something's pissed Sarah off this morning.
Nah. It hasn't. No, what I said to you is my time is precious.
I know your time's precious.
I really don't like it when people waste my time.
She's not talking about me, by the way.
No, I'm not.
She's looking at me with death eyes.
Don't worry. Yeah, I just find it frustrating, which I have to deal with, but that's fine. It's running a business.
I think
there's some creators, not any of ours. I'll just say that none of our creators. I value all of our shows and everyone who's on them, but there are Australian content creators and influencers that I cannot stand.
Really?
Yep, cannot stand.
Who? Give me an initial.
Can I beef it out? Nah,
yeah,
the
go on,
people
beef
read.
it out. Oh, yeah. Well, that's fair.
Why do you think that's fair?
I think it's fair because there are some people that believe that their opinion is the only opinion.
That's what frustrates me.
But that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Mel Robbins. Let them.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Do you think it's good for influencers and content creators to have their opinions online? Because I know a lot of people that don't because they're too scared to lose brand deals or cop the criticism.
I always go back to the point. I completely understand that position. I think that, at the end of the day, most people want to be brand safe when it comes to the content that they put out and then also the comments that they put out there too. What I find really hard for influencers is that they're just people, right? And as people, whether we've got 500,000, followers or 300 like me, the reality is that we all have opinions on things, right? I think it's just down to the person whether they would feel the need to make their opinion known or not. Like, I can have an opinion on the things that I read in Beep's comments too, but I'm not going to react to them, right? It obviously hits a sore spot more for you than it maybe would for me, right? And that's not saying that the feeling's invalid. It's just saying that I just don't really – I think that what goes around comes around, right?
Geez, you're wise.
No, I don't think so. I think I just don't put my energy into stuff like that.
And that's what I ask you every week. How do you do that?
I just don't care.
No, but you have to care.
I don't, because it's her life.
No, but in general, that's your attitude when it comes to life.
Yeah.
You always come in, Sarah, don't.
Well, what are you going to do to change it?
Do you think the whole influencing thing is coming to some sort of end?
No, I don't think that influencers will come to an end. I think that the types of content in which we're used to seeing will change. I think that there's more of a pressure on people now to be a bit more authentic and share a bit more about their lives and all that sort of thing. And I think that the OG influencers are going to really struggle with that because they're not programmed that way. They've kind of, what did you say before? What did you say? They're a brand or?
They're business.
They're a business. Sorry.
They see it as a business.
As a business. So what's left out from being a business is emotion, right? Authenticity is the behind the scenes of that business. So, you know, there's more and more of a push for people to be more open and honest about, you know, anything and everything, whether that be their mental health, whether that be their finances, whether that be, it could be bloody anything. It could be absolutely anything. From getting
Parenting,
your Botox to not getting Botox or lying about having a facelift, but you've had a facelift or whatever it is. I really don't understand it, like why it would.
Saying you lost all your weight going to Pilates and you've had the jab.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't see personally the big deal with, I think influencers put more of an onus of that on themselves in terms of maintaining that brand. I think that their true followers are not going to care. I think at the end of the day, you have to remember they're just people, right?
How do you see that what we're doing, that's a part of the shift?
I always go back to how we as individuals, friends, families, whatever, however you want, people in your community, people in your lives consume content. And I feel like people are looking for more meaningful things to watch and listen to. Things are going to help them, going to change their lives. I mean, you know, if we want to talk about Stitch Up and talk about what we're doing here from a podcasting and vodcasting perspective, it's creating great, meaningful content, as I said before. Just look at the charts. I mean, I think that's all you have to do. You know, look at what the number one podcasts and vodcasts are each week.
Your mate Mel.
A lot of them are. I've only read one of Mel's books, just so we're clear. I do love it though. A lot of it is to do with bettering yourself, right? In any way, whether that be people are now looking at, ADHD and, you know, this late in life diagnosis of ADHD and how.
Do you believe in that?
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
As if I don't have ADHD.
But every second person, even myself, I see things on TikTok and I'm like, I've got ADHD.
Oh, see, I'm not diagnosing myself from TikTok. I'm saying that I think that there are now tools in order to potentially diagnose something that would have been overlooked as when we were children, right? Yeah. Just as they just don't sit down, or they can't concentrate, or whatever it is, or they're over emotional. I mean, I could go on.
Yeah.
Right. I think that there's definitely something in that. Anyway, forget that. I'm saying that I think people are looking to content that is much more meaningful in any way. You're going to chuck on, I'm going to learn something today.
That's what we do. And I know you and I have the same belief when it comes to this. Every show we do, it's like, what's someone learning from this? Like, say, Trent show shaped, say the can't think straight.
Yeah.
It's all about providing some kind of education, connection and purpose with the audience.
No, 100%. I think that's,
Your favourite saying is, and anyone who comes through here that wants to do a vodcast, what do you say to them?
I don't know. What do I say? That it needs to be a beautiful combination of education and entertainment.
Well, you're not going to sit down here and tell me about your weekend.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares that you went
to 161.
No one cares what you did. Sorry, I shouldn't say no one cares. Your friends might care, and you can put that on your Snapchat. But if you're creating a podcast, you're sending out information to the broader community. So that information, I think, needs to be valuable to them. Right. So even if you're young and you're creating a podcast and you don't have maybe, some of the life hasn't taught you all the lessons yet or anything like that, there are still things that you can bring to the table that it will resonate with people even the same age as you. Right. We sort of sat down and had a conversation with a couple of young influencers a little while ago, and I think it's all well and good for everyone to sort of want to do a podcast or want to try something new. And I think if you can, do it and go for it. But what I will say is that it has to actually make a difference, or you will not get continuous listens. You aren't going to get continuous listens about talking about influencer gossip, right? You're not. And it will, and if you do, it will come to an end. There are a few podcasts out there that's their whole thing, and they kind of started that a long time ago. But the question that I ask is, what value does that bring to your life?
Yeah.
Right? What value does that bring?
Talking about others.
Yeah. And, when you said to me, we're going to sit down today and talk about influencers, I'm glad we are, because it's not about them as individuals, right? About the way in which influencers create content and the way in which that content resonates now with the consumer. I think there's a lot more onus on that. I always say, before we post something, anything, what is the purpose of this? It could be a static post, it could be a video, it could be whatever it is. Put yourself on the receiving end of that. Does it mean anything? Or are you just going to swipe past it?
It's what our mentor says about Tully Lou as well. He's like, everything has to have value.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no point in putting something up if it has no value for anyone.
100%. I've seen it with brands. There's a lot of brands that have really, and I'm not going to go into specifics, but have really turned the table on traditional. They used to treat social media a bit like a catalogue. Like, okay, this is what we've got going on. Here's a picture, go get it. Now it's more about showing the process, showing where it is in the store, showing what it looks like on, showing. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's much more of a journey. It's much more, what's the word? Entertaining, inclusive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a hard sell.
That's right. It's not a hard sell.
Yeah.
But there's still room for both. It just depends on what platforms or what sort of marketing avenue, right? Radio is the perfect one. It's come down to wherever and get your Nescafe for $2.99.
Do they still do that though?
Yeah. What else?
How's it working with me?
Oh, it's so good. Look, we have our days. I think going into business with anyone can be challenging. I think that, between what we've created so far, we're doing pretty good. I think we gel pretty well. I think that we have a really great open line of communication, which is good. We all have our positives and negatives that we bring to the table. I'm very black and white, as you know.
I need to be more like that.
But I think the more and more we spend time together as a team, you realise it doesn't come from a bad place. It's often just I'm just needing to get something done.
Yeah.
And I think it's because of my background too, coming from a corporate world of where you've had to just get shit done. Sometimes you don't tread very, very carefully. So that's my learning curve.
It's with you and with other people in my life. Don't mind the black and whites, just how it's said. Sometimes it's just, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Oh,
the delivery.
The delivery is shocking.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's the biggest bane of my existence. Not 100%.
Do you know everyone that asks me about Stitch Up and what we're doing and how's it going and how's it working with your friends? I don't know any other world than working with really family or friends, and I really enjoy it. But the one thing I consistently say is I learn so much from working with you.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Just via like osmosis and observation, you have so much credibility, and you're very wise, and I look to you for advice and how you operate.
So I don't even have to ask you what it's like working with me.
No.
Oh, I know I can be a fucking nightmare. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. No, but even on meetings and that, I'm like, God, I wish I was a bit more forthright and best to be like, what do you want? That's it. Nah. You're very good at saying no to people.
I know.
That's in life and in business.
Yeah. Except my kids.
That's all right.
Yes to everything.
Yeah. What can people expect from Stitch Up?
I don't know. You tell me. This is a conversation.
You're the brains. I'm the beauty.
I think what they can expect from what we're doing is that we're not chasing anyone. I think what we're doing is very isolated. I don't even know if that's the right word. I'm not very good with
English.
my England. We don't really worry about what anyone else is doing. I think that's the beauty of it, and that's the joy in it. We just focus on, we think this is a good idea to the people that we would like to work with. Do you think this is a good idea? And if we all agree it's a good idea, let's give it a crack. As long as we're leading with the right agenda, which is
why are we doing this?
Why are we doing it? I think that, why would we want to put this out into the world? What does this mean?
What value
does it provide? How can we help people? I think you win. And it doesn't necessarily have to come with a dollar sign. I think it's just it's something that makes you feel great. And I think if you continue that and you keep pushing that, then the rest will come.
Value attracts, dare I say, money. So the more value you put out there, it's only a matter of time.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, what brand do you know that's been successful without having real value and purpose? You could look at anything. We could look at Chemist Warehouse. We could look at supermarket. We could look at anything. I mean, what are you providing the people with? Sarah, thank you for having me on Curious Conversations.
You are my regular.
I'm the Temu Tully sub-in.
Always. I just know people are going to love you, Leash, and don't even bother following Elisha because she will not accept you. And if 90% of people that follow Elisha are blocked from seeing Elisha anyway. So
seeing my stories.
That's it. Seeing your story.
Private.
That's it. That's fair. One day I'll crack.
Don't even bother following it.
I'm putting everything on. Do you know what? There's one other person that we work with, and one day we're going to crack, Leash.
Nah.
Yeah.
Impossible.
We're going to get you.
That's very funny.
I love you.
I love you too. I'm Temu Tully.
You're Temu Tully. All right. Maybe back to regular programming next week. Who knows? But
with Tully being on, absolutely. I'm not coming back. Because I don't even know what I said.
Yeah, you might get cancelled.
No way. No. I'm not going to get cancelled.
All right, guys. Stay well. Be well. We love you.
Peace out.